Can the Blue Jackets make it 3 in a row, or will the Ducks finally figure out how to play hockey? That's what we're going to talk about today on Locked On Blue Jackets.
You're Locked On Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Blue Jackets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster. With me is my co-host, Hayden Houson. You will notice that I have a different background. Again, I'm in Columbus, which is super exciting, probably for me only. But
we're all excited for you.
It's fun to be back. It's fun to be here. This is about your favorite team and ours, the Columbus Blue Jackets. We're going to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. More of the first than the second two recently, which is a lot of fun. Before we get started, I want to let everyone know that today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. And I also want to thank you guys for making us your first listen of the day. Every day, Locked On Blue Jackets continues to be free and available on all podcast platforms. We are over on YouTube. And we are on Sirius XM. So check us out in one of those three places. Let's get into it. We have to talk about the Ducks, but we also have to talk about the Blue Jackets because we are recording this around about 8 o'clock on Monday night. So the news has come out that Patrick Laine is going on IR, retroactive to October 20th, which I think means he's eligible to return October 30th based on the IR rules. And Dmitry Voronkov has been called up to the NHL. So that's pretty exciting. What do you think? Do you think he draws into the lineup tonight, Hayden?
I mean, I hope so. I don't think that they need him to. I think they could roll out the same lineup that they had on Saturday night and be fine. But I would love to see Voronkov out there. We saw him play in the preseason. He was just a guy skating around, just trying to fight anybody and everybody. I don't think his game is well-rounded enough to be like, oh, he's going to help the Blue Jackets in a tremendous way. But what is he? He's logged a couple games now in the AHL this season, so maybe that could change, if he's given regular season minutes here. But big dude with Voronkov, 6'4", probably more like 6'5", 6'6", it feels like. Like he's
big dude.
Yeah, 190 with a nice left-hand shot. That he had a lot of people had him pegged to play and make the NHL lineup this year, so it's kind of cool that he is getting this call up per se. He has just 1 point in 4 games in Cleveland this year, so haven't had tons of Monsters film for me to look at personally that I've caught, so I don't know if he's necessarily earned this call up. I guess Pascal Vincent thinks he's earned this call up. So I don't think the Blue Jackets need him, but if they throw him out there, heck, I'd like to see him, toss some young Anaheim Ducks around, because we know the Ducks are sometimes one of those teams that are a little bit prone to getting tossed around because they have a lot of skilled players, and this is going to be a fun game tonight, either way.
Yeah, I feel like Dmitry Voronkov is going to make friends with Radko Gudas, who we'll talk about in a little bit, who we talked about just previous to going live. He only has 1 point in his first 4 games, but a little inside baseball. I just got dinner with Dina Weinheimer, founder of AHL News Now, Cleveland Monsters beat reporter, and she says that he has looked really good in those 4 games, just hasn't been getting on the score sheet. So if he draws in, look for Voronkov to make an impact, maybe not on the score sheet, but I think he'll make an impact on the game, which is pretty fun. You've got to think that, who does he draw in for? You've got to think that he probably swaps out for Mathieu Olivier. I know Igor Chinikov was skating in place of Sean Corrali today, who had a maintenance day, so maybe there's something up there. So he could be on that fourth line. They could have a fourth line of Danforth, Olivier, and Voronkov, which is the Bash brothers plus a bonus little Bash brother, because Justin Danforth is not afraid to crash and bang around. But it'll be interesting to see. I'm not averse to having him in the lineup, I don't think he needs to be in the lineup, so we'll see. But I'm excited to see what he looks like against NHLers, because I thought he had a decent preseason, but wasn't great. So maybe a couple of weeks skating on North American ice, the smaller ice, has done something. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that. I don't think there's going to be any other lineup changes. I assume Merzlikins is going to get the start for the Blue Jackets. I just want to shout out David Severson as a player to watch, because although he hasn't gotten involved offensively, he has been excellent for the Blue Jackets thus far. That Werenski-Severson pairing was, I think, by far the best duo on the ice. And I know that you did a whole recap of the weekend's games yesterday, which super appreciate that. I was on a plane for most of yesterday, or most of Sunday when Hayden recorded. That's a pairing that I like a lot, which is great, because I feel like it's been a minute since Werenski has had a defense partner that is like reliable and competent and is good at both ends of the ice. I feel like he either gets stuck with a stay-at-home guy like Andrew Peeke, or an offensive guy like Adam Boquist, and Zach kind of gets caught in the middle of having to do a little bit of everything. But I think this pairing, if it continues, is really going to stand out and help Zach be a better player. I don't think David Severson is Seth Jones, but he has a similar-ish game, I think, which might just be me. This might be just bias on my part, but that's the kind of vibes I get. Like, do you remember that like Zach's rookie season when he and Seth Jones were connected at the hip, and they were both really, really great? Like, that's the kind of vibes I'm getting in the early return of Severson and Werenski.
Yeah, I mean, Severson, he had 2 points, 2 assists in that last game against Minnesota. Yeah, even though I did cover Saturday's game in yesterday's episode, I'm all over the place. Still a lot to talk about from that one. And you're absolutely right. Damon Severson, who got benched in the third period against the Red Wings, and I thought unjustly benched. I thought he actually played a pretty fine game. Like, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, Damon Severson was the reason the Blue Jackets got smoked by the Red Wings. It was a bunch of other things. It was penalties, whatever. But Pascal Vincent benches him for the third period. Damon Severson goes to the media and totally owns up for playing bad. So coach felt like he played bad. He felt like he played bad. Ever since then, you're right. The return on Damon Severson has been really good. He even put 3 shots on goal himself. Zach Werenski had 5 shots on goal on Saturday night. So these dudes, and I know like the Blue Jackets put up 54 in total. Everybody got a puck on net in that one. But yeah, you got to really love what you're seeing, especially from the blue line with Columbus this year. It's been, and not all these guys have gotten goals. Jake Bean really is the only one that has like found his way through, it feels like, from the defense. But you know Zach Werenski's going to find one. Damon Severson's going to find one.
Zach Werenski has scored, I believe.
Yes, he scored an empty netter. I think that might be
the empty netter against the Flames. So he has technically found the net. But yes. I agree. I think to further your point, like the defense took a little while to get going, I think. But in the past couple of games, I think they've been extremely good, and I think it's going to get better. Damon Severson's going to find the net sooner rather than later. I expect Zach Werenski to have a really good season on the stat sheet. I don't know what his numbers are right now. Let me try and find them. He's a point per game right now. He's got a goal and 2 assists in 3 games that he's played. Obviously, he missed a couple of games with that Charlie Horse injury from the Flyers game, but I guess he's picking up exactly where he left off last season, which is really, really great to see. And I saw a tweet from someone, I'm so sorry, I don't remember who it was, but said of his performance against Minnesota, that is a $9.5 million defenseman, and I completely agree. We'll talk a little bit more about Zach Werenski in a second, I think, because I don't know that they were quite done talking about him yet, but we're going to take a quick break, and then when we get back, we'll talk about what the Blue Jackets need to do against the Ducks to keep this rolling and turn a 2-game winning streak into a 3-game winning streak. First, though, I've got to tell you guys about Sleeper, because it is the daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL network. If you want to win 100 times your money, you've got to play daily fantasy hockey on the Sleeper app. You're going to have a chance to win big with Sleeper. They are our top choice for daily fantasy sports, and especially daily fantasy hockey. With Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy contests. So all you need to do is pick more or less on stats like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and pick a player. So if you want to say Adam Fantilli gets more than one goal in tonight's game, then you can do that and win 100 times your money on Sleeper if you're right. You heard me right. 100 times your money if you win. So start paying attention, get your picks right so you can win big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL. You're going to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That is Locked On NHL, LOCKEDON NHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. I've also got to tell you guys about Game Time, because I hate to plan ahead, but I also get stressed when I don't plan. And Game Time is the perfect way for me to buy tickets, because I can literally open the app up right now, go on, look at Blue Jackets tickets for tonight's game, and Game Time will have a bunch of great options at low prices, and they take the guesswork out of buying tickets. They've got last minute tickets, flash deals. They have views from the seat. So if you want to know if you're going to get restricted view, or if you want to know if you're even going to be able to see the ice, you can do that on Game Time. And they've got a lowest price guarantee, which means if you find your ticket somewhere else cheaper, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Hayden. Blue Jackets have a chance to make it 3 in a row tonight. Who on the Blue Jackets needs to have a big game for tonight to be a success?
Well, I mean, just watching a little bit of the Ducks and Bruins game on Sunday night, I drew the conclusion that Charlie McAvoy is 100% the heart and soul of that power play unit. And, I mean, he was just awesome. I think we severely underrate how good of a defenseman he is. But one guy that we just talked about in that last segment there, Zach Werenski, he is starting to find his groove on the power play a little bit. So I think he obviously needs to have a big night. But I think whoever the player is that's going to step up for Patrick Laine on the first power play, which looks like it's Kent Johnson, which is fantastic because he can move the puck around so well. Kirill Marchenko also on that first power play. I don't know. It's hard to pin it on one guy because the team has just looked so good playing together recently. But let me remind you, Johnny Gaudreau still yet to score his first goal on the year. Kirill Marchenko still yet to score his first goal on the year. So I'd like to see those guys find the back of the net, or if they're not, good consolation would be continue to rack up the assists because both those guys seeming to do that. We knew Gaudreau was going to do that, obviously, but Kirill Marchenko, there's other people around the league tweeting about him. Like, why hasn't this guy scored a goal yet? He's completely flipped on the dude he was last year. Like, he was a running joke.
He's a playmaker now. He's going to get exactly the same stats as last season, but there's going to be 21 assists and 4 goals.
Yeah. And then the second power play, if it's Roslovic, Sillinger, Bemstrom, Fantilli, and Provorov again, keep that going because Fantilli found a pass from Provorov, and I think Fantilli has a sweet spot on the ice, and it is 100% like not even the mid slot, like the high slot. Like he just loves, give him the puck and give him just a small amount of time, and he is going to find the net, and he's going to catch a lot of goalies off guard this year with that. So I think he needs to keep it rolling, but I think it's on the other guys to just give him the puck. Like, focus on continuing to put pressure in the offensive zone, find Adam Fantilli, give him the puck, and dangerous things are going to happen. But I don't know, who's the player that you got in order for the Blue Jackets to get a win? Like, who's their go-to guy tonight?
I think, yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with you. I think Werenski, who is going to have a really great night. I do want to issue a quick correction to, we said that the only guys that scored on defense were Jake Bean, Zach Werenski. We did forget David Jiricek, who scored his first NHL goal last week. So sorry to David for forgetting about that. I also don't necessarily think that we need to worry about Gaudreau and Marchenko just yet. They both have 3 assists and no goals in 5 games. That's fine. I'm not worried yet. If they weren't producing at all, then I might be starting to get a little bit worried. But I'd like Gaudreau to have a big game. I think Boone Jenner, who is currently leading the team in goals and points, he's currently a point per game. He's doing the captain thing. He's leading by example, and it's really, really great to see. So that's I think that's my quick rundown. I'd like Elvis to be better than he was against the Wild. So we'll see which Elvis we get, because he wasn't great. He was fine against the Wild, but he wasn't great like he had been in the game against Philly and the game against New York that he played, 2 periods of. He looked like a guy that hadn't played for 2 weeks, which fair, because he was a guy that hadn't played for 2 weeks. I'm expecting him to be better tonight. He might need to be special, because we're going to talk about the Ducks in a minute, and something that I've been really liking about the early play of the Ducks has been their goaltending. So we'll get into that in a minute, but I want to kind of touch on Fantilli a little bit, very briefly. Obviously, big matchup. Leo Carlsson versus Adam Fantilli. Carlsson, I believe, has one goal in 1 game so far. He's only played 1 game for the Ducks. They are doing this load management thing with him, where he's going to be sitting out every so often. So I wonder if he's not 100% from that lower body injury that kept him out for the start of the season, or if they're just trying to get him used to playing 1 million games a season. But that is definitely going to be a big story. Is going to be Carlsson versus Fantilli. Obviously, a lot of drama when the Ducks went with Carlsson over Fantilli, but we'll see. Sorry, a car went past outside and distracted me. How do you feel about the Carlsson versus the Fantilli matchup? Because I assume they will be matched up against each other. Carlsson is playing center for the Ducks at the minute, so that's going to be a really interesting matchup, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic, especially if they are taking faceoffs against each other, because, the second that Adam Fantilli wins a faceoff, I'm just going to be tweeting Leo Carlsson bust. So I have that in the drafts already. No, I'm just kidding.
That feels like karma is going to get you, though. I have been very careful tweeting about Connor Bedard so far, because I know that he's going to come back and bite me. For the first time the Blue Jackets and the Blackhawks play each other. So I'll be very careful tweeting about Leo Carlsson, because he will come back and score the game winner or something. But I do love I love the thought behind it. I do think it's very funny.
Yeah, he had he's a fine player. We've only seen him he has played, according to NHL.com, 2 games.
Oh, 2 games, excuse me.
No, I mean, it's fine. We knew that the Ducks were going to kind of do that with him. I remember seeing things out there the Ducks were maybe considering starting him in the AHL at the beginning of the season, which was just crazy, or sending him back to Sweden even, which was even crazier. But no, I mean, he has a goal in 2 games. He's looked well when he's played with guys like Troy Terry. I think that's great for him, because Troy Terry is another young center who can move the puck around and can carry a lot of offense on his own. So if you leave a guy like Leo Carlsson, who has pretty elite, goal scoring abilities, very similar to Patrick Laine, maybe not as quite of hard of a shot as Patrick Laine, but he's a little bit younger than him, so he's got time to develop that. Yeah, I just think it's going to be tough if he plays, because he is so dangerous, I believe. And the Ducks have highly skilled players in, Troy Terry, as I just mentioned, Trevor Zegras, Mason McTavish is pretty awesome. So if you let Carlsson, if you forget that he's on the ice because you just write him off as, oh, he's, this guy's not going to do anything, then he could burn you. And it's just a matter of time with him before he really starts reeling in the goals. They're off to a pretty bad start this year, 1-4. So they're coming into this one off a 3-game losing streak, looking to get a win here. And this is the first of a 4-game kind of road trip for them on the East Coast. And they play the Blue Jackets, Boston, Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh. And Columbus just is that team that teams like the Ducks show up and are like, this is a winnable game for us. So I think you're going to get the best Anaheim Ducks that you really can get. And you don't want to take them lightly. But yeah, for Leo Carlsson and the Adam Fantilli matchup, obviously I'm not going to tweet out that Leo Carlsson's a bust after a face-off win. But you got to think in the back of your head for Adam Fantilli, this is a chance to prove the Ducks organization, hey, you messed up, and that's pretty exciting for us.
Yeah, you've got to think. And I think also now that Fantilli's gotten his, and I tweeted this out earlier, I think, at Jeff Svoboda, Jackets Insider, and I said something along the lines of, you've got to think that now that he's got one, it feels a little bit like the floodgates might open. I would not be surprised to see Fantilli score again tonight. But yeah, you've got to think that he is going to be thinking real hard about how the Ducks took Carlsson over him. And I think he's probably not the kind of player to be petty about it, but you've got to think that he's thinking about it. I think a lot about how Jack Eichel's whole thing was he was going to make the Oilers regret not picking him first overall. And he's turned into an excellent player. But he's not turned into Connor McDavid, so I think it's not quite on that level, but I'm excited to see Carlsson versus Fantilli.
I will say Fantilli should have 2 on the year because Jacob Markstrom absolutely robbed him in the
and
game.
He missed the net by about 4 inches against the Wild and then hit the post about 3 seconds later. So he could have had 3 goals against the Wild and had 1. So it was really great to see him get that last one. I want to talk a little bit more about the Ducks, specifically their goaltending. And then we're going to make some predictions because Hayden and I continue to do very badly in the prediction game, but we'll see if we can get one right.
We're going to this one, though, together, Jay. We're going to this one tonight because you're in Columbus. I obviously live here. So maybe we have a clear vision on this one. And that's what I'm going to believe because, we're going to go. So
confidence. I like it.
Yes.
So we'll do that in just a little bit here on Locked On Blue Jackets. First, though, I've got to tell you guys about FanDuel. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers are going to get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets whether you win or lose. So maybe Hayden and I should put a little bit of money on tonight's game and see who wins. And you can do that at FanDuel. If you've been thinking about joining, there is no better time to get in on the action. The app's easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options. You can do spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. We'll talk a little bit about what our predictions are going to be in a second, and maybe you should pick Jay's bet or Hayden's bet. You can do that, FanDuel.com/LockedOn. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL, and also us, the Locked On Podcast Network. All right. Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jackets. Thank you for making us your first listen. Hayden and I are talking all about the Anaheim Ducks, and I do want to just finish off thinking about the Ducks. Their goaltending has been extremely good and has gotten basically no results. So Lucas Dostal, who is their I think they're probably going to be running as a tandem, but he's their young phenom goalie. He was very good in the AHL. He has allowed 5 goals on 62 shots. John Gibson has allowed 8 goals on 86 shots. So they are both above 900 save percentage, and they have 1 win between them. So their goaltending has been extremely good. The Ducks just haven't scored, which makes me think if the Ducks figure out how to if anyone on the Ducks that's not named Frank Vetrano figures out how to score goals, it could get interesting for the Ducks because they have been quite strong between the pipes this season. So early doors, 5 games in, sometimes goalies have hot streaks, but as of right now, it's looking like the Ducks might have a very good goalie tandem on their hands.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. They are 1-4 to start the year, but their offense has only produced 4 goals in the last 3 games for them. So clearly they are having some issues putting pucks on net and in the net because they played Boston on Sunday night. Boston's 5-0, and they gave Boston pretty much the best game they could give Boston.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 0-0 game through 2 periods. Anaheim got the first goal in the 3rd period, and then Boston was like, we're literally playing the Ducks, guys. Like, what are we doing? And then they took over. But I expect the Ducks to come into this one hungry. And after you said that, I assumed you were going to give it to me to make the first prediction. And after you said that, I'm going to predict a lot lower scoring game in this one. And
definitely take the under on this one, guys.
Yeah, I'm going to. I don't know if I like going to hockey games with the under, but the Blue Jackets have also had some pretty good goaltending. And I think it's not even a product really of the goaltending, rather just their defense is so much better, Jay. I mean, just remember when we were doing in the offseason, when we were doing season reviews for all those defensemen, it was
brutal.
It was D, C minus because, you know, he led the team in that position in points. And then it was like D. Like, the Blue Jackets are just playing pretty lights out. Even Erica Branson, even the caboose of the defense has looked pretty good. So I'm going to predict a low-scoring game in this one. I'm actually going to take the Jackets in a 4-1 victory. So just under 6.5 with 5 goals there. But I think the Blue Jackets are rolling right now, man. They had 54 shots the other night on the Minnesota Wild, who on all accounts are still a pretty good team. They were a playoff team last year, and it's not like they've had a cold start to their season. So I think the Blue Jackets get a 4-1 win, and I'm going to say Jack Roslovic scores the first goal because he's
bold. I like
it. Well,
one of our everydayers, Morgan, who is wonderful, is going to really enjoy that prediction from you.
She's going to love when I'm completely wrong, I think. Or wait, is she the one that likes Jack Roslovic?
She loves Jack Roslovic.
Oh, she loves him.
She's the number one Jack Roslovic fan. So she's going to love that prediction from you. I'm going to go a similar route. I am going to go ahead and say I think it's going to be a 3-1 victory for the Blue Jackets, which I just want to point out that the Boston game was basically a 2-1 win because Brad Marchand scored an empty net goal. And as we all know, empty net goals don't count. So it was
Not
really a 2-1
goalies,
win for the Bruins, but I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say a 3-1 win for the Blue Jackets with an empty net goal included. In terms of goal scorers, I, by the way, awarded myself half a point for guessing that Fantilli was going to score in Game 5. So I currently have 1 point out of a possible 15. Hayden is yet to get on the board. So hopefully that will change sooner rather than later.
I'm not helping myself by taking Roslovic, that's for sure. He scored the game winner. He had 8 shots on goal.
I'm going to go back to Johnny Gaudreau, I think. I think he's overdue. And he loved scoring at home last season. I think like 75% of his goals were scored at Nationwide last season. So I'm going to go with Gaudreau for mine. So 3-1 Jackets win. Johnny Gaudreau to score the first goal. Hayden is going 4-1 Jackets win. Jack Roslovic to score the first goal. So we'll see who's right here. It'll be fun.
I will say I'm not that crazy because Sean Corrali scored the first goal against the Flames. And I'm like, I texted you right when that happened. Like, neither of us in a million years would have predicted Sean Corrali to score the first goal. So hockey can be...
Justin Danforth opened the scoring against the Wild, I think. It was someone real random for the Wild. So, stranger things have happened.
That fourth line is buzzing.
It's a good one. I'm enjoying it. I was thinking about going really off board and going Voronkov, but I don't.
He might not even play.
That's kind of all we've got for today. Hayden and I are going to be at the game tonight. If you see us, come say hi. I have stickers for people if you recognize us, come say hi, get a sticker. I don't have them on me right now. I was going to show them on screen, but we are, I don't remember what section we're going to be in, but I will tweet it out. So if you see us, come say hi. We like high fives and beer. So thank you for listening. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day. Every day, we are free and available on all podcast platforms. We're on YouTube. We are on Sirius XM. And tomorrow, we'll be breaking down tonight's game. So hopefully it's a good one. My first game in Nationwide since 2019. So fingers crossed. Thank you for listening, for making us your first listen. I've been Jay Foster. You can find me on Twitter at _Jacob Foster, JAKOBFORSTER. You can find Hayden over at HaydenH971. You can find the show at LO_Blue Jackets on Twitter. We are hopefully going to be on Instagram soon if I can remember what the login for the Instagram is. It's fine. And if you have comments, questions, criticisms, you can email us at lockedonbluejackets@gmail.com. We're going to be doing another happy hour soon, not this week, maybe next week, depending on scheduling. I will be on a plane this Friday, so unfortunately cannot drink and talk about the Jackets, but maybe I will do both of those things offline. Thank you once again for listening. Until tomorrow, make sure you stay locked on.